Hello, dear students. Welcome you all to Shri Jayendra Rank Zone classes. I am your mentor and your friend for the subject biology. I will be taking animal science, that is the zoology section. In the previous lectures, we talked about the gross anatomy of female reproductive system. We talked about the gametogenesis, how a primordial germ cell, it forms oogonia, and that oogonia converts into the primary oocyte, then the secondary oocyte under the different forms of follicle, that is the primordial follicle, primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and the mature Graafian follicle. We talked about the hormones. Now, today we are going to start with that how these hormones actually produce their impact on hypothalamus by creating a positive or a negative feedback according to the existing levels of hormones in the blood. You know, these hormones, they act as chemical messengers, and that is why these hormones, they have a very brief impact on the different hormones, or we can say the homeostatic environment of body. So we'll continue with the lecture with the hormonal control of female reproductive system. Okay, so how it is attained, how hormonal control is attained. You know, hypothalamus, it secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone, okay. From hypothalamus, it is released to activate pituitary. Pituitary, after receiving this activation message, starts to produce luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Okay. Follicle stimulating hormone, it helps to form different types of follicles. Just in the previous lecture we have studied about, means the primordial follicle, the primary follicle, the secondary follicle, and so on. LH is responsible for ovulation process. LH is responsible for the formation of corpus luteum. So, you know, every hormone is having its own function, and that is why the requirement of every hormone in terms of its function and in terms of its amount actually needed, and that amount basically creates a feedback or gives a feedback to hypothalamus, okay, if it is needed more or if it is not needed. So LH and FSH, they are secreted by anterior pituitary. Now they work on the ovary. Basically, ovary secretes estrogen and progesterone hormone. Estrogen is responsible for the expression of female reproductive sexual characters, or the secondary sexual characters, the feminine characters of a female. Estrogen actually helps the female reproductive system, whether we talk about the external genitalia, to attain its sexual maturity. So at the time of puberty, this estrogen and progesterone, their levels are at max, we can say, right? So that estrogen and progesterone, they basically are secreted by ovary and they work on uterus. Okay. So the estrogen, the secretion of estrogen, the amount of estrogen and the amount of progesterone, they actually give a feedback to hypothalamus whether they are needed to secrete LH and FSH or whether they are not needed to secrete LH and FSH. Okay. So both the hormones, they actually have a negative feedback over most of the menstrual cycle. The cycle here means what? Menstrual cycle. Here the cycle actually means what? The menstrual cycle. So actually estrogen and progesterone, their levels are already high, especially when we talk about at the time of puberty, at the time of menstrual cycle, because menstrual cycle, it basically gives a sign of sexual maturity in case of females, right? So that is why their levels are already high. Okay, so they basically give a negative feedback. Okay, hypothalamus, don't activate anterior pituitary because we are already high in the blood. Okay, now we have to come down, or we have to just maintain our level. Okay, so just don't push us to secrete more and more without any requirement. Okay, I am hypothalamus, I have a huge brain and I am understood. Okay, I will not activate anterior pituitary, and my guard anterior pituitary will not further secrete the LH and FSH. Okay, so this is a negative feedback which is actually generalized or is seen over most of the part of the cycle. Now estrogen, specifically estrogen, it creates a negative impact over most of the cycle along with progesterone. But when I talk about estrogen only, means not progesterone actually, so estrogen, it creates a positive feedback, especially when we talk about the last part of the menstrual cycle, that is from 19 to 21 days. Okay, so this cycle, the estrogen, it creates a positive feedback, okay, to hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. Why? The reason is why, because 14th day the ovulation happens, right? So the moment menstrual cycle started, so just after 13 days of the start of the menstrual cycle, okay, the ovulation starts. Okay, ovulation is done, right? Now if the ovulation is done at 14th day, and during this time period, if the released ova, it mates with the sperm, right? The moment it mates with the sperm, what will happen? The fertilization will occur. Okay, if the fertilization is yes, it does, then what will happen? Then what will happen? It will lead to the formation of corpus luteum. Okay, but the corpus luteum will not degenerate. It will maintain itself for the other 9 months, right? I'll show you in the next slides. Okay, so the main motto to educate you here is what? That how hormones, they actually balance the levels of the other hormones. Okay, on the command of hypothalamus, anterior pituitary works. On the command of anterior pituitary, LH and FSH are secreted, which basically activates ovary. Ovary activates to secrete estrogen and progesterone, and these two hormones, they work on uterus. Okay, so I hope you got it till here. So we are moving to the next slide, that is, the menstrual cycle. It is basically divided into these 3 phases. The first phase, this phase, which is known as what? The bleeding phase, or we can say the menstrual phase. It is also known as pre-ovulatory phase. Before ovulation, ovulatory phase, right? Then this phase, which is given by green, okay, this is the follicular phase. Okay, so this follicular phase basically helps in the proliferation, means it is proliferative phase as well. So basically the bleeding phase, it's good to call bleeding phase the menstrual phase, right? And The follicular phase exactly is known as proliferative phase. There is one correction, okay. Actual, the pre-ovulatory phase is this, right? So sorry to write it above. Okay, pre-ovulatory phase. Okay, so this is the follicular phase or the proliferative phase or the pre-ovulatory phase. Then we have the blue one, that is the ovulatory phase, right? And then we have the orange one, that is the luteal phase. This is the secretory phase. Okay, this is the secretory phase. So basically you can see during the bleeding phase or the menstrual phase, which is actually lasting for the day 1 to day 5, day 1 to day 5, means here the uterus lining, this uterus lining which is actually, you know, pre-planned, okay, pre-planted to have the developing zygote or the baby, the fertilized egg. So that, you know, wall of the uterus is known as what? Stratum functionalis. Stratum functionalis. Stratum functionalis. So during this, what happens? The uterine, you know, wall, stratum functionalis, everything is wiped out. It is just slotted out from the uterus. Okay, and this slotting is also done with the help of or with the initials of the hormones secreted. Okay, the uterus lining, it breaks down, menstruation occurs. So 1 to 5 days, what exactly happened? The bleeding, it is occurring to slot all the matter, debris which is present inside the uterus. Then we have the follicular phase or the proliferative phase or the pre-ovulatory phase, which actually involves, now everything is clean, now the cycle is going to start again. Okay, so this cycle basically it starts from the day 6 to day 10. So from day 6 to day 10, the uterine epithelium, okay, along with myometrium. So that uterine epithelium is known as what? Endometrium, and the muscular layer is known as what? Myometrium, right? So that muscular layer, endometrium, especially the endometrium, it basically starts to proliferate. The cell starts to grow. Okay, now these cells, they starts to grow, means they starts to the formation of what? The follicles. Okay, the primary follicle, then the secondary follicle, then the tertiary follicle. Okay, means in the cortex it can be easily visible that how these follicles are formed. Okay, now at the 14th day, okay, usually on the day 14th day, mean it is keep on enlarging on day 12 as well, keep on enlarging on day 13 as well. On the day 14, okay, because of LH surge, okay, I'll tell you about LH surge, which is the increase in, you know, the levels of LH, luteinizing hormone. The luteinizing hormone basically it helps to break the walls of the mature follicle, and this mature follicle, after getting ruptured, it will release the egg. Okay, so 14th day ovulation occurs, right? And after that, the formation of corpus luteum, okay, means the leftover part of the Graafian follicle, the stromal cells, they basically condense to form a, you know, a unique body which is having or which secretes a pigment called lutein. Okay, so that is why it is mentioned the luteal phase. The luteal phase basically is helping us to tell, okay, this phase is remarkably, you know, known because of the functional activity of the corpus luteum, or the fate of corpus luteum. Okay, whether the corpus luteum of pregnancy will be there or the corpus luteum of menstruation will be there, because around 16th day of this, just after ovulation. Okay, so means just after 2 days of ovulation. So around, we can say, the ovum, it is having a lifespan of 2 days, right? And the sperm is having a lifespan of 3 days. Ovum is having a lifespan of 2 days and a sperm is having a lifespan of 3 days. Okay, so the moment ovulation it occurs, okay, the ovum is shed. So because of copulation, because of coitus, okay, large amount of oxytocin is released. Oxytocin is released. This oxytocin hormone, it is basically a constrictor, you know, it constrict the ducts, especially the reproductive ducts, right? So oxytocin, it basically constrict the ducts, it increases the blood pressure, because of which the fallopian tube, it rhythmically contracts, and it basically invites or it attracts the sperm which just entered because of the copulation, coitus, or the sexual intercourse, right? So the moment sperm enters, it enters the oviduct, and the ampulla is the site, you know, where the fertilization is going to occur. So that's what a fate of ovum is destined. Okay, when everything is having destiny, and that is why the ovum is also having a destiny. So this destiny, it needs to be met out. So that is why the moment fertilization happens, corpus luteum of pregnancy is formed, which is not going to degenerate. It will remain as it is for the other 9 months. But if the fertilization doesn't happens, okay, after the 2 days of ovulation, means 15th day, 16th day, hardly 17th day, okay, so around 16th day of the cycle, corpus luteum tends to achieve its maximum size, because it is having an illusion, it is having information, okay, egg is released and there are 100% chances of egg to be fertilized by the sperm, but it doesn't know the reality. Okay, so the moment what is happening is the corpus luteum, if someone is just snatching the, you know, candy, okay, out of the mouth of corpus luteum needs to, it is going to cry, and that is why the corpus luteum, it cries, and this cry basically gets corpus luteum to degenerate and to form corpus luteum of pregnancy. Okay, so I hope you got it. Just you know, I have just told you a prima facie a constructive, you know, concepts regarding the menstrual cycle, the bleeding phase, the proliferative phase, or the pro-ovulatory phase, then the ovulatory phase, and then the luteal phase. Now we will move to the next slide. Yeah, so here I have for you jotted down overall changes during the menstrual cycle. Okay, what overall changes? Hormonal changes, ovarian changes, and uterine changes, right? So first we will talk about the bleeding phase or the menstrual phase, which lasts for 4 to 5 days, okay, maximally 5 days. Okay, so during initial stage, what will happen? The gonadotropin releasing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen and progesterone, they are low. Why they are low? Because actually it is a cycle, menstrual cycle. Okay, so during bleeding, during the wiping out of everything, okay, which is just, you know, which is just beautifully decorated to have a implantation, to have a baby, but now everything is just, you know, cut it down. So that is why GnRH, FSH, LH, estrogen, progesterone, they all are very sad. Okay, so that is why their concentrations are low. Okay, now what are the ovarian changes? Corpus luteum gets degenerated, okay, and forms corpus albicans. The corpus luteum, which is the yellow body, it basically forms corpus albicans. Corpus albicans is the white body. Okay, so if I corpus albicans. So if I'll show you, this is the corpus luteum formation. Okay, like this. It will secrete progesterone. It contains the pigment lutein, and that is why it is known as what? Luteal cells. Okay, that is why the name is corpus luteum. Okay, so what are the different changes in case of uterus? In uterus, the changes are the levels of prostaglandins, it increases. Now, how it is happening that prostaglandins, they come into a role play? GnRH, FSH, LH, estrogen, progesterone, they are all low. They all are already very low. And this advantage of the movement is benefited by prostaglandins, or benefited to prostaglandins to increase their levels. The prostaglandins, they are potent vasoconstrictors. Okay, they are potent vasoconstrictors. Okay, so these vasoconstrictions decreases the blood supply to the stratum functionalis. Stratum functionalis means is that layer which actually was meant to have the bed of developing baby. Okay, means it is like a cushion which was actually planned to receive the developing baby, means the zygote, the embryo, right? Now, so the very first is the levels of prostaglandin will increase. It will cause vasoconstriction, which will further decrease the blood supply, okay, to stratum functionalis. Now, secondly, it also leads to myometrial contraction. Most importantly, prostaglandins, they are pain mediators. Okay, so they leads to enormous myometrial contractions, and this enormous myometrial contraction basically helps to wipe out, slotted out every damn thing which is present inside the uterus. Okay, so that is the myometrium. Okay, the wall myometrium along with the stratum functionalis, it will be released out from the vagina. Okay, now because of the secretion of blood, okay, it's a normal procedure of having or formation of a clot, but some fibrinolytic enzymes, they prevent the clotting so that the usual cleaning of the uterus could happen. Okay, so if the uterus needs to be clean, everything, the unfertilized egg, everything needs to be just wiped out. So these things you have to remember regarding the uterine changes. So in bleeding phase or the menstrual phase, which actually lasts for 4 to 5 days, the initial stage is low GnRH, low FSH, low, everything is low except the prostaglandins, they are high. Okay, and they create vasoconstriction, because of which the pain mediators will be released, the blood supply to the stratum functionalis will be cut it down. Okay, it will lead to myometrial contraction along with the wiping out of everything which was present in the uterus before. And the fibrinolytic enzymes or the fibrinolytic enzymes, they help in clotting. Okay, they help to prevent clotting. Right? Now the B part, that is the terminal stage. Okay, so at the end of this, what will happen? For example, the bleeding phase, it starts on day 1. So now I am talking about day 5 or 6. Okay, so here the levels of estrogen are low. Okay, the levels of estrogen are low, and you remember, the moment the levels of estrogen are low, it will further give a positive feedback feedback to hypothalamus. Hypothalamus further secretes GnRH, okay, and this GnRH further activates pituitary to secrete LH and FSH, right? So LH, FSH, progesterone, ठीक है, their levels are high, but the estrogen levels are low, okay. Now 6 to 12 primary follicles, FSH is high. Because of this follicle stimulating hormone, now new follicles are going to proliferate, okay. So 6 to 12 primary follicles, they get stimulated to form secondary follicle under the influence of FSH, okay. So the FSH levels are high here, okay. Now uterine bleeding, in uterine changes, the uterine bleeding is gradually reduced. Now the things are happening side by side. In the cortex region, suppose this is, I'll draw a cortex region. So in the cortex region, what will happen? The primary oocyte, it will be, you know, surrounded by the granulosa cells in a single layer is the follicle, then formation of secondary follicle, okay, secondary follicle, then the tertiary follicle, mature follicle. So these follicular upgradations, you know, these follicular movements or formation is basically moving with one side, and what is happening, the uterine bleeding is gradually reduced. Because uterine bleeding at this time needs to be reduced because the blood vessels, they need to supply the primary follicles so that they can be converted into secondary and then further, okay. So I hope it's understood. Okay, we'll move to the next slide. The follicular phase. The follicular phase, also known as the proliferative phase, also known as the pre-ovulatory phase, or see, this is the most important point, estrogenic phase. Estrogenic phase, okay, it means the estrogen levels are high, okay. In the previous slide, is there anything written? No. So estrogenic phase. Now the initial stages, GnRH, FSH needs to be high, and FSH and LH, they are secreted by anterior pituitary. So if FSH is secreting, LH will automatically be secreted, okay, and the pituitary will get activated. So GnRH is going to activate pituitary, so GnRH levels be also high automatically. So everything, GnRH, FSH, LH, estrogen, they all are high, except progesterone, because progesterone is actually secreted by the corpus luteum, okay, or the mature follicles. Now what are the changes in case of ovary? 1 to 2 secondary follicle forms tertiary follicle, okay. 1 to 2, 6 to 12 primary follicles were matured to form secondary follicles, and 1 to 2 out of it forms tertiary follicles. When rest other, they undergoes follicular atresia, they degenerates. Now what happens? The uterine bleeding till here, it completely stops, it get completely stopped, okay, and most importantly, it leads to endometrial hyperplasia. What is this? Endometrial hyperplasia. Now in this phase, the endometrium or the wall of the uterus, if I'll make you a diagram for you, it is like somewhat this. So you can see the wall of the uterus, this wall of the uterus, it needs to be very fluffy, soft. So how the wall of the uterus is soft? Because it is basically, you know, having growth, overgrowth, proliferation. So this proliferation is basically a sign that Okay, now the uterus is getting ready for the implantation. So endometrial hyperplasia. Hyperplasia means increase in number. Increase in number. There are two terms. One is hypertrophy and another one is hyperplasia. Hyperplasia is what? Increase in number, and hypertrophy is what? Increase in size. So endometrial hyperplasia, which leads to increase in size of the endometrium. Now formation of stratum functionalis. Yeah, that needs to be formed, because stratum functionalis is basically going to be a future bed, developing bed for the baby. Developing baby means the embryo. So stratum functionalis is basically richly supplied by blood vessels, okay, and it is a cushion like bed which basically gives a sleepy sense, or it gives a comfortable sense to the developing embryo. Okay, so that is stratum functionalis. Now coming next, we are having this terminal stage. What exactly this terminal stage means? This terminal stage, it basically comes with high levels of estrogen. Okay, I mean initial stage estrogen levels were high, but in this terminal stage the estrogen levels are very high, we can say very high. Okay, and they give a positive feedback on GnRH, which increases both FSH and LH. So FSH and LH, they both come up with a surge. Okay, but you actually know about only LH surge, but FSH also come up with a surge, right? So I'll just remove it so that there could be a better space to write on, right? So FSH surge, it lasts for 2 days, maximally 2 days, because it is actually leading to the formation of new follicles. And LH surge, it is basically responsible for ovulation. So at the time of ovulation, basically to maintain the levels of FSH and LH individually, there are some hormones which are released by corpus luteum, and this is inhibin. Inhibin gives a negative impact on FSH, and the levels of FSH, they comes down. I repeat my words. FSH surge is basically, it is seen for 2 days, maximally of 2-3 days. Okay, and the FSH surge is not very high comparatively to LH surge. The LH surge is 5 to 6 folds. The amount of LH actually increases by 5x or 6x, sorry, and FSH, the amount increases by 2x, 2 times or 3 times. And that is why, to maintain the levels of FSH and LH, because at the time of ovulation we don't need any other follicle to form, to develop. Okay, so we can say to decrease the rate of their development, inhibin is required. Okay, so high levels of estrogen, they activate GnRH, which further activate FSH and LH. Now inhibin released by membrana granulosa of the follicle or the follicular cells, moderates the level of FSH. Okay, negative feedback on FSH. Inhibin is also released by corpus luteum. So you can remember both, that inhibin released by corpus luteum and the membrana granulosa, because those membrana granulosa cells are going to basically form the corpus luteum only. Okay, so they have a negative feedback on FSH. Progesterone released by theca and membrana granulosa. Always remember, progesterone is purely a ovarian hormone, and it is released by the theca layers, means the theca externa and the theca interna, and the membrana granulosa layers. Okay, so this progesterone, when it will increases, it will create a negative feedback, okay, on GnRH to LH and FSH. Further, the estrogen levels will decrease. So the estrogen levels are only high at the time of ovulation. Okay, so This is how the levels are maintained one by another. Synthesis of proteolytic enzymes help to weaken theca externa. Theca externa, it basically gets weakened because of the proteolytic enzymes, and disruption of tunica albuginea of the ovary. And the tunica albuginea, it gets disrupted, means it is actually planning itself for the ovulation. Okay, so this phase is just before the ovulatory phase. Okay, that is why the changes are just to make a continuity. Okay, just to create a picture. So what you have to remember, in the terminal stage, high levels of estrogen, further high levels of FSH, LH and GnRH, because estrogens, it puts a positive feedback. Then inhibin released by the membrana granulosa cells and the developing corpus luteum to form. But corpus luteum will only be formed by after ovulation. Okay, so you have to just make a sense out of it. The corpus luteum is basically releasing inhibin, but actually inhibin is a hormone which is secreted by membrana granulosa cells, because here inhibin is releasing because of the vicinity of membrana granulosa cells, because corpus luteum is going to form after ovulation and we are talking pre-ovulatory phase. Okay, the things should match, right? So the inhibin released by membrana granulosa cells, it further decreases the level of FSH. Progesterone increases because now the theca and the theca layers are very well developed. Okay, which further decreases estrogen. So progesterone, it decreases the level of estrogen by creating a negative feedback on the GnRH. And the release of proteolytic enzymes helps to weaken theca externa and disruption of tunica albuginea. Okay, means it is basically creating the pores in the wall of the ovary so that the ovulation can easily be facilitated. Okay, now what are the changes? What are the changes? I mean, these are the hormonal changes. Now what are the ovarian changes? These are ovarian changes. Okay, the ovarian changes are the tertiary follicle, the formation of tertiary follicle. Actually, it forms mature tertiary or the Graafian follicle. So ovarian changes are tertiary follicle converts to mature Graafian follicle. Mature Graafian follicle. Understood? Mature Graafian follicle. Okay, so only this thing you have to remember. Uterine changes, the endometrial hyperplasia will continue, means it will continue to proliferate. The thickness of the uterine wall, it will be increased enormously. Thickness will be increased. Thickness will increase. Okay, then there is myometrial hypertrophy. Okay, myometrial means the muscular layer, the middle muscular layer. Okay, myometrial hypertrophy mean increase in size. Hypertrophy. Previously it was a complete cellular division which was leading to hyperplasia, increase in number. Right now the numbers are, they are reaching or outbusting to their limits, and they just want to hypertrophize. They just want to increase their size, right? So it is myometrial hypertrophy. So these are the changes which actually occurs in follicular phase, that is the pre-ovulatory phase or the proliferative phase. Okay. Now I hope everything is clear. Just you have to remember the things, right, one by one. Now we have the luteal phase. This luteal phase is the last phase, which actually is the secretory phase, and you can see it is progesteronic phase. The previous phase was actually dominated by estrogenic phase, because initial stages it starts with the high levels of estrogen. Here the luteal phase, it is why it is known as what progesteronic phase, because it actually involves the formation of corpus luteum. Okay, so it is the post ovulatory phase when ovulation is done. So the initial stages, they are basically marked by GnRH, FSH, LH are comparatively low, because FSH is not needed now. ovulation is done, we are waiting for fertilization. Actually, we were waiting for fertilization, but because the moment fertilization, it can be or it cannot be, right? So the levels of GnRH, FSH and LH are comparatively low, and if LH is low, then estrogen is automatically low. Okay, low than the terminal stage of follicular phase. Okay, so in the previous phase, whatever the levels of GnRH, FSH and LH, even comparative to that, the levels are decreased in this initial stage. Okay, now what are the changes in ovarian or the ovary changes? The graphene follicle is ruptured. The moment graphene follicle is ruptured, it basically fills with blood, and it is known as what? Corpus hemorrhagicum. Corpus hemorrhagicum is basically the initial form of corpus luteum. Initial form of corpus luteum. Okay. So corpus hemorrhagicum, it is the initial form of corpus luteum. So just I have told you in the previous slide that the corpus luteum, it tries to extend from the 16th day to reach to its maximum size. Okay, to reach to its maximum size. Okay, so corpus luteum becomes at a maximum size at 22nd day of the menstrual cycle. Okay, so what exactly happens? Fertilization, the ovum is shedded out. We are waiting for its confirmation whether the marriage is going to happen or not. So the ruptured graphene follicle, it forms corpus hemorrhagicum, that is the initial form of corpus luteum, which grows and enlarges at the 22nd day at most, maximally. Okay. Now the glandular nature of endometrium increases. The gland, their nature, now their glandular nature, secretory nature comes. Why? Because during proliferative phase they have to just create a bed, but now the glandular nature, why it is increasing? Because now they are basically having a pre-mindset. Now ovulation is already done. Now we are going to receive a fertilized egg. So that is why the glandular nature of the endometrium, it increases. Thickness of the uterine wall increases and maximum at 23rd day. Maximum at 23rd day. Reason being, progesterone levels are high. Why? Because the corpus luteum is maximum at 22nd day. So high levels of progesterone further initiates the uterine or endometrial activity. Okay, so they are just directly proportional. So high progesterone is directly proportional to endometrial activity. Basically, progesterone is a pregnancy or anti-abortion hormone, also known as anti-abortion or pregnancy hormone. Basically, it maintains the happy pregnancy to be done. Okay, so to it just want to the female to conceive anyhow, but it depends upon the fate whether it is going to happen or not. So in terminal stage, what is happening? The increased progesterone. Increased progesterone means negative feedback. Negative feedback to GnRH, LH and FSH levels already low. Further decrease of progesterone and estrogen due to degeneration of corpus luteum. Now what exactly happening? The degeneration of corpus luteum is now happening. Why? Because progesterone levels are decreased. Why? The reason is the progesterone is secreted by the combined action of LH and FSH on ovary. So if ovary is not activated, the amount of progesterone which was previously there, it was all consumed. Okay, in showing all this drama and all. Okay, but the fact is now the levels of progesterone are low. Okay, because everything is consumed now, so the progesterone levels go low, and this leads to the degeneration of corpus luteum, and corpus luteum further forms corpus albicans, a white body. It is not concerned with any hormone. The corpus albicans, it is not concerned with the secretion of any hormone, with any hormonal secretion, right? Now next, the size of stratum functionale decreases. Okay, it decreases. the thickness of uterine wall decreases because now they actually on the reality grounds, okay, when they are not in the air anymore. Now they are in the reality grounds ki okay, nothing is going to happen, bhaiya kuch nahi hone wala, then nothing going to happen, and the uterine wall is basically now the thickness will decrease, and it undergoes myometrial atrophy, means the muscular layer it will undergo myometrial atrophy, means no contractions and relaxations, right? So no muscular activity is seen, okay, no proliferation is seen. So this is about luteal phase. This is the last phase, okay. So right now we just talked about the menstrual cycle. I just make you review the points again. What were the different points? Okay. The first is the formation of the bleeding phase or the menstrual phase. The second was the proliferative phase, okay, or we can say the follicular phase. Then we have a pre-ovulatory phase, then ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase, okay. So it was actually controlled by the hormones secreted by the hypothalamus, GnRH, which further controls anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary further controls the levels of LH and FSH secreted. LH and FSH controls the ovarian hormones, that is progesterone and estrogen, okay. So you can just relate to the previous slides that when we were talking about, okay, I'll just go back. So this is the bleeding phase, menstrual phase, then follicular phase, then ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase, okay. So every hormone is having a specific function, right? So now you can see the levels of estrogen and the levels of progesterone are so high, but at the time of ovulation the levels of estrogens are high, the level of LH and FSH are high, but progesterone, it goes high after the ovum is shedded off. The moment ovum is shedded off, now they actually have to create a healthy environment of the uterus to get ready for the implantation, and that is why the progesterone is secreted at the maximum amount. So the need of the progesterone is not at the time of ovulation, it is at the time of pregnancy, means it is at the time of implantation, okay. So that is why you have to remember that progesterone, the levels need to be high or more during fertilization or after fertilization to get ready the uterine wall or the uterus for implantation, okay. So okay, so you can see the FSH, it will help to form these follicles, the levels of FSH are increasing, and the moment it comes up with ovulation, maximum levels are attained, but the levels of FSH are lower than the levels of luteinizing hormone. The blue peak is at high, this is the blue peak, means the LH, and this is the green peak, means FSH, okay. Means the level of FSH, they are basically high up till the mature tertiary follicle, or okay, before the release of Graafian follicle, formation of Graafian follicle, okay. But LH, it is required for the ovulation because it will help in the rupture of walls of Graafian follicle and the tunica albuginea, okay. So these were the different hormonal sequences, okay. I think everything is clear. You have to just create your remembrance regarding it, okay. So now we are going to move with the role of hormones. I have already explained, okay. Just to keep a quick catch, LH causes ovulation, it helps in the formation of corpus luteum. LH is needed for ovulation, it helps in the formation of corpus luteum. Corpus luteum helps to secrete estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and inhibin. Corpus luteum helps to secrete estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and inhibin. Growing follicles means the primary, secondary and the tertiary follicles, they secretes estrogens and inhibin. They both secretes estrogen and inhibin. Okay, the estrogen, it basically get them ready for ovulation. Okay, and inhibin, it basically creates a negative impact on FSH, that okay, now ovulation is going to happen, don't create a mess, do not further proliferate or mature new follicles. So FSH stimulates the proliferation of follicles till early tertiary follicles. That was, I just explained it to you, okay, before the tertiary mature follicle. Okay, estrogens, they promote development, they maintain the female reproductive system structures. Secondary feminine characteristics, okay, means the secondary sexual characteristics in case of females. Increased protein anabolism. Protein anabolism means they actually help to maintain the levels of, you know, the constructive proteins, because all these proteins, especially the levels of albumin and all, because all these proteins are very much needed in the coming time, that is after ovulation, means after the egg get fertilized. They also help to clear the low blood cholesterol, means low density lipoproteins. They clear the low density lipoproteins and increases the high density lipoproteins. Okay, low blood cholesterol. Triglycerides level were also maintained by the high levels of estrogens. Okay, moderate levels of estrogen inhibit GnRH, FSH and LH. Okay, moderate levels, it inhibit GnRH, FSH and LH, but high levels of estrogens activate GnRH, FSH and LH. Okay, high levels of estrogen, or we can say the low levels of estrogen. So sorry, the low levels of estrogen actually give a positive feedback to GnRH, FSH and LH secretion, but the moderate to high levels, they create a negative impact on the secretion of GnRH, FSH and LH. Okay, progesterone, it works with estrogen to prepare endometrium for implantation, prepares mammary glands to secrete milk. Okay, means the release of oxytocin, inhibits release of GnRH and LH, already explained. Okay, nothing to tell you again and again. Then relaxins, they helps in the, you know, inhibits the contraction of the myometrial walls, means the uterine smooth muscles. During labor, it increases the flexibility of pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis basically, it can be understood as a, you know, cartilaginous part. Okay, the white fibrocartilage which basically connects the midline of pubic, means the hip bone. Okay, so the pubic symphysis basically, if it gets, you know, increases, the flexibility increases, the parturition becomes very easy. Okay, the delivery of the baby becomes very easy. So that is why the relaxins are there. It inhibits the contraction of uterine smooth muscles, and during the labor it increases the flexibility of pubic symphysis. Okay, means it also helps to dilate the cervix so that baby can be parturited easily. Okay, then inhibin, you know, inhibits FSH. Okay, nothing to tell much. Okay, so I think, is everything clear? Okay, we'll start the secondary sex organs in the next time. Okay, next turn. Till then, if you're having any problems, you can just post your problems, okay, wherever you are, my videos are reaching you. Okay, and I strongly recommend you to watch the previous videos so that you can have a better connect. Okay, so everyone, stay at home, stay blessed in these crucial times. Okay, God bless you. Bye bye, take care.